Hey guys, what's up? Check this out. This is a book I picked up some years ago, and I think it's still good today, you know, because all books from years ago are even better today. Art of Atari, and this is the art of video games, basically, like not the art of video games themselves, the art of video game covers, the illustration on the cover box of the video game, the actual artwork that came on the cover of the video game. And this is back when Atari, the 2600 was out, and a lot of the more primitive, like from the 80s, a lot of the more primitive console systems with little dots and little blips that shoot other blips and more blips, and it has this MIDI music where the music kind of has these like beep, beep, beep music, you know? And it goes all the way back in the day. I remember like how the Atari 2600 games were so simple and primitive. They weren't really even close to being as good as the arcade games. But the thing is that the arcade games are in here too. But what's interesting is that like it was only the Atari arcade games is in here. So let me just show you some of the stuff. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Like some of the the cover art. This is, if you remember that game Missile Command, right? And I think like the cover of this whole area here is Missile Command, you know? And I remember Missile Command, it was like these little, you shoot these little dots and it's these little missiles or just these little lines, you know, that were like the graphics sucked and everything. So let me just show you what this is. This is so cool. And I was looking at this and it was like, really, really amazing, and let me see, let's take a look here. A lot of the stuff is really cool. Let me just show you. It's got like games from all the way back. It's got some of the games that were on the consoles, and it's got some games that were on the arcade. And I'll just show you some of the stuff. It starts off with Pong, and there's just the art in it is so good, and the games were like so simple. Okay, here we go. Consoles. Yeah, so basically it starts off with like Pong and whatever, you know, those games, like, come on, those games. At the time, those games are cool because they were like the only games available. But let me just show you some of the art of video games that were like back in the day. God, here's one. Like, for example, this one is a game called Slot Racers, and I don't even remember what this game looked like. I don't even remember this game, but the artwork is amazing, right? And there's another one called Space War. And here's an interesting, like there was a game called Superman, right? So here is just the cover of it, but the actual game of it, I don't know if you could show, if they even show, they don't actually show you the actual game, because the game is so lame looking compared to today's standards, and the cover is so good looking. It's just the contrast is just really, really amazing. There's just a bunch of stuff in here. It talks about, oh, here we go, Space Invader. Remember Space Invaders? You're like this little ship on the bottom and you're shooting up, and these little guys like toot, 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 right? And this is the artwork for Space Invaders. This is what it looks like, right? Completely better than frickin' the actual Space Invaders, the game, you know? Completely better than that. Yeah, it's just like amazing, amazing artwork where the game was so simple. But I remember the game in the arcade, or there wasn't actual arcades back then when Space Invaders came out. It was just like you would just happen to be like, where there was pinball machines, there were Space Invader games. And there weren't arcades because Space Invader at the time was like the only arcade game. It was like the first arcade game, that one, and it wasn't even Pac-Man yet. It was Space Invaders, and it was just the next thing that was playable after like pinball, right? But the here's some cool ones. Here's a video pinball, you know, but that's pinball. Demons to Diamonds. I don't remember this game, but it had really good artwork on it. But I don't exactly remember the game. Demons. There's so many freaking games that came out that were just under the radar that no one knew anything about. Demons to Diamonds was one of them because, you know, okay, here's another one. Asteroids, right? Remember, Asteroids is like, you're this little triangular blip and you shoot these little round little blips at these big blips that look like rocks and they're moving around, right? Asteroids. The actual game was so simple, but the artwork was pretty amazing. Was pretty cool, you know. Um, this is what okay. Here's the actual. Here we go. Asteroids, right? That is the artwork for Asteroids. Okay, that's amazing artwork. It looks so badass. Like, oh my god, this game's gonna, you know, freaking blow everything out of the water. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't. You know. Oh, okay. It's Missile Command actually. Okay, because they didn't tell you that till later. But here you go. Missile Command actually. That's what I thought it was. But I mean, it could have been Asteroids. It just looks like the same thing. But here, yeah, that makes sense. It's a little bit. It's Missile Command. Okay. And you're basically the missile commander, right? So that makes sense. That's why that game is there. But what was I remember like okay, the game was so simple. The games were like so simple, but the actual covers of the games were amazing, and they had to be good. The covers of the games had to be really good because the games at the time were really expensive. They're like $35. To, I don't remember, like maybe up to $65. I'm not sure, but at the time, $35 could buy a lot. Whereas like now, $35 can't really buy that much. But here's some interesting one. There was a game called Warlords, and here's the artwork for that. And Warlords was this really simple blip game. There were like 4 little things, and they would shoot these little blips at each other. And then destroy each one's sort of like castle or whatever it is. You know, it was really a simple game. Yeah, this is the actual, it does show you the game. Okay, let me just show this little thing, this little square, you can see that. That's the actual game that it looked like, but this is the illustration of the game. This is what it looked like on the package. It's just amazing how you don't really get what you're promised with these. Like, for example, Berserk. Berserk, I mean, yes, it was on the consoles, but it sucked on the consoles. It was in the arcades, and it was really good. Like, the arcade game Berserk was a very good double stick shooter. Really good game. But as you could see, on the console, it was just very simple. Little blips and stuff like that, you know? Centipede. Jeez, look at this stuff. Combat 2. Combat 2. I mean, it looks okay. It's just a countermeasure. Here's some interesting stuff. This is Defender. Now, Defender was another really good game on the arcade. Not so much on the consoles, because it was just very primitive. But the artwork for Defender, I mean, it's definitely better than the cheap. I mean, this is a cool artwork for the actual console, but it's not really a great piece of art for the actual, like, the home version of the game, because it really was really crappy. And there was like another one. Here is the E.T. the Extraterrestrial. It was a completely flawed game. It didn't make any sense. There was just no way to play it. It wasn't as good as even the simplest game. It was just, if they could have made Pong 2, and it would have been better than this one. I mean, they could have made anything, it would have been better than what they made. The guy was like, oh, we didn't have enough time to do it. Yeah, but come on. Here's Pac-Man, Art of Pac-Man. Pac-Man's pretty simple. It's not like, they didn't put a lot of art there, because it was already a very popular game, and everybody wanted it. Here's one called Phoenix. I don't remember it being on the consoles, it might have been, but it was definitely in the arcades. And it was pretty cool. You were like shooting down these birds. You know, you would like shoot down these birds, these like space birds, these phoenixes, right? You would shoot them down. And they were more fun to shoot those down than Space Invaders or Galaxian or any of those. I did find like Phoenix was like one of my favorite shooters. Another one called Raiders of the Lost Ark. They show you like, you know, a picture of Harrison Ford in the movie. It wasn't anything like that, you know. But it was really good artwork. Let's see, Star Raiders. Submarine Commander. I don't remember a lot of these. Like, this is Art of Atari, so Atari, you know, came out with a lot of games. Vanguard was a really good game. Here's some artwork for Vanguard. That was a really good game. It was